The first cry of your newborn still echoed in your ears. Though weeks had passed since that night in the hospital, you could still remember gripping Jungkook's hand so hard your knuckles turned white, whispering, "We are in this together," while the pain of labor ripped through you. But now, it didn't feel like together anymore. Rain tapped against the wide glass window in your bedroom, each drop sliding down like a tear you couldn't let fall. The air was cold not from the weather but from him. Jungkook stood near the dresser, adjusting the cuffs of his shirt. He didn't look at you, didn't look at the baby, just his own reflection in the mirror. "Where's my black tie?" he asked flatly. "In the second drawer." You replied softly, shifting the baby in your arms. He glanced over, his gaze sliding from your messy hair to the oversized hoodie and loose sweatpants you wore. His eyes lingered, not with affection but with an unfamiliar, critical weight. "You are still wearing that." You blame. "What's wrong with this? It's comfortable." "Comfortable doesn't mean presentable," he said, his tone clipped. He tugged the tie from the drawer with a sharp movement. "You used to care about how you looked." "I do care," you murmured, tightening the hoodie around yourself. He gave a small, humorless laugh. "Really? Because it doesn't show?" The words lodged deep in your chest. "It doesn't because you might forget that I've just had a baby, Jungkook," you said quietly. "Exactly, which is all the more reason not to let yourself go." He gestured vaguely at you as though you were some problem to be solved. "I'm not saying you have to look like you did before." "That's exactly what you're saying." You cut in a trembling voice. He straightened, his expression hardening. "Don't talk back to me when I'm trying to be honest with you. I work all day, I come home, and you are just here in the same clothes, looking like this. You think that's attractive?" You blinked at him, your chest tightening. "You're not even watching your words, Jungkook. How can you even say that to me?" Your voice cracked, but you pushed through. "A wife can't even imagine hearing such words from her husband, especially not weeks after she's given birth to his child." He didn't flinch, he didn't apologize. And in that moment, it hit you. This wasn't just him having a bad day, this was who he was now. Or maybe who he had been all along, hidden behind soft words and practiced smile. You thought back to before your marriage, to the way he used to tuck a strand of hair behind your ear, the way he would call you my world. Maybe that man had been real for a while, or maybe he had just pretended to be someone better than he truly was. You had clung to the hope that things would change once you had a child, that maybe holding his baby in his arms would soften him, bring back the tenderness you had fallen in love with. But now you knew that was your biggest mistake, not having your child, never your child. The mistake was expecting him to change, expecting anything from a man who saw love as a transaction and affection as a reward you had to earn. He adjusted his tie, glancing at you briefly like you were just another chore he didn't have the patience for. "Don't be dramatic," he said, dismissing your pain as if it was nothing. Your grip on the baby tightened protectively. "I'm not being dramatic. I'm tired, Jungkook. I barely sleep. I feed him every 2 hours. He raised a hand, cutting you off. "You're not the only woman in the world who's had a baby. Other women bounce back. They don't make excuses." The words hit harder than the rain against the glass. You stare at him, your throat closing. "You used to call me beautiful. I used to mean it." Silence stretched between you, broken only by the soft whimper of your baby. That night, after putting the baby down, you slid into bed beside him. The mattress dipped under your weight, but when you reached out to rest a hand on his chest, he shifted away. "What's wrong?" you asked, your voice small. I'm tired. You have been saying that every night. He let out a slow breath because it's true and because he stopped himself, then shook his head. Forget it. No, say it. You pressed, though your stomach twisted in fear. His eyes met yours in the dim light because I don't feel like it. You have changed. It's different now. You froze, your hand still between you. Different? Yeah, different. He repeated, turning into his side with his back to you, and not in a good way. The rejection burned through you, heavy and unshakable. You lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, the echo of his words pounding in your head. You remember when he used to trace your face with his fingers, call you my beautiful girl. Now you were just different. And for the first time you wondered if the man lying beside you was already gone, replaced by someone you didn't recognize anymore. The house had become a place of silent transactions, doctor appointments scribbled on a scrap of paper, grocery list stuck to the fridge with the same magnet you had used since your wedding day. No, how was your day? No, I missed you. Only polite nods and cold glances. That slid right past you like you were furniture. One rainy afternoon, you sat cross legged on the living room floor, folding laundry. The sound of rain pattered against the windows, but then you heard something else. Jungkook's voice from the study, softer than it had been with you in months. You froze, your fingers tangled in a baby's onesie. Yeah, I've missed you too. He said quietly, a low chuckle followed, the kind you used to hear in the first years of your marriage, when you were still his world. It's been too long. The shirt slipped from your hands onto the floor. You didn't move, you didn't breathe. Whoever was on the other end of that call, he wasn't speaking to them like a friend. Later that evening, he walked into the kitchen, loosening his tie. You didn't bother hiding the tension in your voice. Who were you talking to earlier? He didn't miss a beat. A friend. You leaned on the counter, eyes locked on his. A friend you miss? His gaze hardened, the warmth gone in an instant. Yes, why? Is this something impossible? Are you trying to cheat on me, Jungkook? Tell me genuinely. Before you could finish, he put the glass down with a loud thud, making you pause. Maybe if you took care of yourself the way you used to, you wouldn't feel so insecure and doubt me. The words hit you harder than any slap could. You laughed under your breath, but it wasn't humor, it was disbelief. Wow, so it really is about my body. He scoffed, looking away. It's about the fact that you have stopped trying. You think walking around in hoodies all day is what I signed up for? You stare at him, your hands gripping the edge of the counter until your knuckles whitened. What you signed up for? You repeated, your voice shaking, not from fear but from the fury building in your chest. You know what's funny? You said, taking a step toward him. I nearly died giving birth to our son. I carried him for 9 months. I went through nights of back pain, morning sickness, swollen feet. And I did it all without a single complaint because I thought you would be worth it in the end. I thought the man I loved would be standing here proud of me, grateful, maybe even loving me more for it. Don't get dramatic. No, you listen to me. Your voice rose, firm and unshaking now. You have been toxic, Jungkook. You control what I wear, how I speak. You shut me out and now you shame my body for changing after our child? I don't even recognize you anymore. His jaw clenched, but he said nothing. I used to think this was a phase, that maybe stress from work made you colder, that maybe having a baby would remind you of who we were. But now I see it. This is who you are. This is who you have always been, and I'm done making excuses for you. You are overreacting. I'm leaving. The words spelled out before you could second guess them, but they felt right. I'm taking our son and I'll raise him without you because I would rather him grow up in a small apartment with love than in this big house full of silence and hate, not with a man who doesn't know how to respect his wife. He stared at you almost amused. You think you can just walk out? I don't think. You said, your voice steady now. I know. Suddenly you heard your son cry. You gave him one last look and walked toward the baby's room. The moment you held your son in your arms, his small fingers curling around yours, the weight of your decision lifted something heavy from your chest. I'm sorry, my baby, but I have no other choice. I can't live here anymore. He's not the same man I have fallen in love with. I hate him. I hate him so much at this point. Hugging your baby to your chest, you burst into silent cries. This wasn't weakness, this wasn't running away. This was the first step toward freedom for both of you. Rain hammered the windows that night, drowning out the faint hum of the city beyond the apartment walls. You sat at the dining table, pen trembling in your hand as your eyes scanned the divorce papers one last time. Your reflection in the window looked like a stranger, eyes sunken, lips pale, skin bruised not by hands but by words left unsaid. Jungkook leaned against the doorway, his expression unreadable, hands buried in the pockets of his pants. You are really doing this. His voice was low, almost a whisper. You didn't look up. You already left me long before I decided to leave you. That's not true. His jaw clenched. I was busy. You laughed bitterly. Busy building an empire? Or busy avoiding the woman you promised to love? There was only silence. You sighed. The pen scraped across the paper, and in that moment, something inside you shattered. You pushed the folder toward him. I'll think about it, Jungkook said, finally turning away. Think about it? You rose to your feet. What is there to think about, Jungkook? You have already made me feel like I'm nothing. You have been absent from this marriage for 2 years. What you are thinking? There's nothing like that. If you think I'm with another woman, then I'm not. Just because I asked you to take care of yourself, you think I'm being toxic? Your voice trembled, but it wasn't from weakness, it was from the weight of everything you had been holding back. Jungkook, it's not toxic to want me to take care of myself. That's not the problem. You let out a hollow laugh, shaking your head. The problem is, you don't even see what's wrong. You think caring is telling me to rest while you stand on the sidelines. You think providing money is enough to call yourself a partner. But you don't help me live this life with you. You don't help me with our son. You don't carry the emotional weight, only the financial one. And you believe that's all it takes to keep a family together? Jungkook's jaw tightened, his hands curling into fists at his sides, but he didn't speak. Your chest tightened, but the words kept coming, years of silence spilling out like a dam breaking. Do you have any idea how exhausting it is to feel like a single parent while being married? To feel invisible in your own home, and then when I finally reach my breaking point, you look at me like I'm the unreasonable one. You blink back the heat in your eyes, forcing yourself to meet his gaze. Jungkook, I've already made my decision. I'm not staying, not this time. Even if you begged, even if you promised to change, because you have already shown me all the reasons I need to walk away. You have already taught me that I can't keep losing myself to save this. I will never. You said each word sharp enough to cut. Let my son grow up looking up to you. I won't let him become a man who doesn't care about his wife after she gives him the best gift of his life. No, never. His throat bobbed as he tried to speak, but you stepped back before he could. I'm going to find my own worth again, not as your wife, not as someone's mother, but as me, and I'm going to stand on my own emotionally, financially, all of it without you. The silence that followed was deafening, the kind that didn't just fill the room, it settled between your hearts like a wall neither of you could break through. Jungkook thought you weren't serious about it. Maybe you said all that in anger, but then he came back earlier than expected and saw the bags, his brows knitted. What the hell are you doing? Leaving? With the baby? His voice rose almost in disbelief. Yes. A cold, mocking laugh escaped him. You won't last a week. You can't handle this on your own. You met his eyes, your grip tightening on your child. Watch me. His face darkened, but you walked past him. Your legs trembled, but your steps didn't stop until you were out the door. The small apartment you found smelled faintly of mildew, and the heater rattled at night, but it was yours and your baby's. Freedom was both terrifying and intoxicating. The first week was brutal, sleepless nights, counting coins for formula, carrying groceries up the stairs with one arm while holding your baby in the other. But you didn't break, not anymore. Life became a battlefield you had to navigate with grit. You took the night shift at a diner, the scent of coffee and grease clinging to your clothes. You learned to function on 3 hours of sleep, to soothe your baby at dawn before rushing to complete online bookkeeping classes. Some nights, when exhaustion clawed at your bones, you would stare at the peeling paint on the apartment walls and wonder if Jungkook had been right. But then you would look at your baby, those curious eyes, that small hand curling around your finger, and remember why you left. One night you came home to an envelope slipped under your door. Inside was a note written in his familiar sharp handwriting. You are making a mistake, come back. You tore it in half without hesitation. You weren't the same woman who needed him to survive. Each day you learned more. How to fix a leaking tap, how to budget every penny, how to silence the ache of loneliness. You were building a life from the ruins he left behind. The afternoon sun was warm, filtering through the leaves as you sat on the park bench, gently rocking your 7-month-old son in your arms. His tiny fingers clutched your sweater as he dozed, the soft coos and baby breaths calming your own restless heart. A shadow suddenly fell over you, Ryan. Your head snapped up, and there he was, John Jungkook, standing just a few feet away, hands clenched, chest rising and falling faster than the quiet surroundings warranted. You tighten your hold on your son instinctively. What are you doing here? I, I just wanted to see him, to see you. Jungkook said, voice low, almost pleading. Please, just once, let me hold my son. You let out a dry, bitter laugh. Now you remember he's your son. His jaw tightened. Don't do this. I have made mistakes. I know, but... Mistakes? You cut in sharply. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is saying something you didn't mean in the heat of an argument. You insulted me in ways that can't be forgotten. His Adam's apple bobbed, and for the first time you saw his eyes glisten. I'm sorry, I swear I'm sorry. I think about him every day, about you every day. You shook your head slowly, your voice trembling but firm. But I don't. In fact, I don't think of you at all anymore, Jungkook. Not in the way you want me to. You know why? Because I learned something. I learned that I am enough for my son. That my worth was never tied to how you saw me or how little you made me feel. I realized I would never let someone like you make me feel small again. Your words hung in the air like shards of glass, sharp and glinting. His Adam's apple bobbed again, but this time his gaze faltered like he was looking for the man he thought he still was and not finding him. Do you have any idea how hard I loved you? how much I fought for us when you treated me like I was disposable. The harder I fell for you, the deeper I dug my own grave, and now I hate you with the same intensity I once loved you. That's what you have done to me. You stepped back, and the distance between you felt heavier than any silence you had ever shared. The day you made me feel like I was less of a woman, less of a mother, that's the day I stopped loving you. And I don't care how sorry you are now, because my son will grow up knowing his mother didn't stay in a place where she wasn't respected, and that will be my gift to him. He inhaled sharply like your words had hit harder than he was prepared for. His lips parted but no sound came out because what could he possibly say now? You can carry your guilt. You can think about us every day for the rest of your life if you want. But me, I've already let you go. The way you felt different and disgusted by me because I stopped taking care of myself after giving birth to our son, now I feel the same way looking at you. With that, you turn away, each step a declaration that the chapter was closed, and though you didn't look back, you knew he was still standing there, eyes glistening, realizing far too late that the woman he thought he could break was walking away, stronger than he had ever seen her.